Ayan. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is okay. So, sige, while waiting for some other participants before we start, you guys can check the pre-event survey for the World Quantum Week celebration in the Philippines. So, yeah, you can see the QR code in the slides. Yeah. While waiting, you can answer the form. And then I just want to remind everyone that we will be giving a certificate of participation in the World Quantum Week once you've attended at least 3 seminars and participated in one competition. So we do have a lot of webinars that we're going to have this World Quantum Week. So yesterday we already had 3 talks. So you can check the Facebook page for the speakers yesterday. For today, I won't spoil, but you're going to meet him later within a few minutes now. And then we still have some few talks that we're going to conduct on the following days. So stay tuned on our Facebook page. So again, you have to attend at least 3 talks, and then join one competition. So you can also check the program schedule and the other events in our Facebook page, Quantum Computing Society of the Philippines. Ayan. So I think, yeah, Jabez, how do we track the attendance? Sorry. Yeah, via Zoom report. So once you've attended, yeah, we're just going to download the Zoom report, and then you're just going to check if you answered the evaluation form at the end. So yeah, that's how we check the attendance. Okay. Sige. While waiting, next slide. Let's have a bit of kamustahan. How are you today, guys? Just wanna have some battery check on you guys. So you can chat one in the chat box kapag you're just happy, you're uh, surviving this Tuesday. So I think some of the participants are having their finals week or midterms or work. No, it's a midweek, so we know that you guys are busy. Ayan, si Jabez won. So, pero nag-attend pa rin siya, no? So, chat nyo naman too kapag you're just chilling. Yan, si Angelo, that's good. And 3, if you're very excited for the World Quantum Day, you've been following us in our Facebook page. And 4, if you're so hyped. Yan. I think I see some participants from yesterday. Nice to hear, Ronachelle. I hope I pronounce your name perfectly. Ronachelle Maridigma. Yan. I hope more people are going to answer 4. You guys are so hyped for World Quantum Day. Sige. Ayan, si Avin, it's 3. Sino pa? Come on, guys. Sino pa ang mga excited dyan? Jana, 2. Okay. Sana all. Just chilling. Jose, 3. Good to hear. Good to hear. Very excited for World Quantum Day. Are you guys following our Facebook page? Pag hindi pa, nako, you're missing the climax of the event, no? So, wala pa sa 50% yung event. So, stay tuned in our Facebook page. Okay. Yan. Thank you, Paul. And thank you, Cedric. Good afternoon. Okay. So, it's already 3:09, no? Uh, the talk will start at 3:10. So, maybe it's better to introduce now the speaker. So, again, next slide. So, our speaker for today, okay, it's Spotlight Talk Session. So, that's the name of the event. Okay. Sorry about that. But I
Sir
will
Elmer,
introduce Sir
face-to-face
Elmer.
ka na ngayon.
Sorry for that, Sir Elmer. So, Sir Elmer is a distinguished senior science research specialist at the DOST ASTI, or Advanced Science Technology Institute. It's a branch of DOST. So he's leveraging over 2 decades of experience in machine learning and artificial intelligence applied across sectors, including weather forecasting, agriculture, natural language processing, and healthcare. He has also led a managed multidisciplinary teams in delivering cutting-edge AI projects that address both national needs and global challenges. So currently, Sir Elmer is pursuing his PhD in computer science at De La Salle University, Manila. He currently holds a master's degree in electrical engineering from the University of the Philippines and has taught predictive analytics, data science, mathematics, and programming as a part-time lecturer at several colleges and universities. So if you're a participant from lecture series, so you know Sir Elmer is one of the lecturers from our event lecture series. Yan. At the national level, Sir Elmer has also major contributions to the development of AI policy within DOST. He is already a recognized expert and a frequent resource person in the Philippine House of Representatives for legislative discussions on AI. So, if you've been following the news, yan, yung mga hearings about artificial intelligence, you're gonna see Sir Elmer on some of the hearings. Yan, naging resource person na rin si Sir Elmer. And then, yeah, um, he sorry, his technical expertise also spans in machine learning, deep learning, predictive analytics. No, he also has scientific publications and ongoing research further underscore commitment and advancement to AI theory and practice. Ayan. So, without further ado, Sir Elmer, we are passing the floor to you. Thank you very much po. Sorry for the mistake in the slide. Biglang naging physicist. Thank you, Sir Elmer.
It's all right, Kyle. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Elmer Ferramo. Not yet, I'm not, I'm still finishing my PhD. Uh, in computer science, I'm not a physicist. Although I do have taken a lot of courses in applied mathematics because that's my first undergrad. I wasn't able to finish applied mathematics. Anyway, yeah, good afternoon and welcome to this event of Quantum Computing Society of the Philippines in celebration of the World Quantum Week. I am really honored to be part of this. Thank you, Kyle, for that introduction. So, thank you also, Jabez, for giving me a topic. Actually, itong title na to, it didn't come from me. Tingin ko kay Jabez, ito galing, what if quantum plus AI? Sabi, okay, parang sabi ko, napansin ko lang, no? Hindi kasi ako Gen Z. Napansin ko lang yung mga Gen Z, mahilig sa phrase na what if. What if? Naririnig ko sa kanila, what if, ganyan, ganyan. So, it's nice na marami akong mga friends na Gen Z. Yan sila Kyle, sila Jabez. Ayan, what if quantum plus AI? Exploring the convergence of two transformative technologies. Just like what Kyle mentioned, no, I've been part of the Quantum Computing Society of the Philippines, and in the past, I've been delivering lectures kapag nagkakanda kami ng lecture series. Usually, I handle the mathematics behind quantum computing. Actually, yung knowledge ko in quantum computing, it's not really that deep yet, no? But it took me a while, siguro itong ano ko, it took me a while to grasp the concept. Dati, and actually marami ng mga researchers ahead of me na they have already been parang into quantum computing research, no? Pero parang merong moment na gets ko siya. Okay? And that's when I realized na, okay pala to. Kasi before, it doesn't really make sense to me. Ano ba yung superposition na yan? How is it possible? Yung mga ganon. Then when I studied the math checks out. So, yun yung actually reason kung bakit, why I got interested into quantum computing. Nung naintindihan ko yung mathematics behind. But don't worry, I will not be talking about the mathematics behind quantum computing. Medyo high level ito. I'm not gonna show a lot of mathematical equation like what I was doing in the lecture series kapag nagbibigay ako usually kasi heavy with mathematical equations, no? Yung ano. But this time, I'm just gonna discuss uh, for this afternoon, this is going to be our journey, the AI revolution, and then a little bit of quantum computing 101, the convergence, then real world applications. And then I'm gonna also talk about my project in the UST and quantum computing and artificial intelligence in the Philippine context. Tapos siguro mga call to action, no? Since I've been told that a lot of you are students and later on magiging professional na rin kayo, parang your path forward. So that's basically the rundown of the things I will be talking about, and I hope I could catch your attention and with this talk, yeah, siguro I'll start with the AI revolution. Understanding where we are. No, we are at the cusp of technological revolution. No, nakikita natin everyday na lang kasi just to share with you, pag nanonood ako ng YouTube, meron kasi syempre yung lumalabas sa feeds ko almost every day about AI, no? Tapos laging may bagong news about AI. Like in the like last week, I'm not sure if you have heard of the project Glasswing of Anthropic, no? May na-develop silang AI which is very much different from their current AI which is yung Claude, Haiku, yung Sonnet. Ito ibang level ito. They call it Mythos. And they were afraid to release it to the public because no yung repercussion nito is it's really parang grabe, parang pwede siya magkaroon ng zero-day attack kasi this AI is too powerful, is too intelligent that once it has fallen into the hands of bad actors, they can exploit the modern software landscape. Like, would you believe, ang dami niya nakitang vulnerability sa Linux system. Linux na yun, ha? And how much more kung sa Windows pa yun, this mas madaming So it's ano lang, yun lang ang daming nangyayari sa technological landscape ngayon. And we really need to uh, keep up, no? We need to be equipped with the right tool, lalo na kayo mga some of you are students, no? And also even sa mga professionals and mga teachers, kailangan nating we really need to be abreast with the technology news para makita natin kung paano tayo mag-adapt. Okay, sige. Ano na nga ba yung speaking of AI, what are the AI capabilities of today? So, yung ChatGPT broke out in 2022, but during that time, it's just a chatbot powered by large language model. When we say large language model, it's a it's a tool that can predict the next word and intelligently, no? As kasi hindi naman siya katulad ng small language model na parang willy-nilly yung or very much parang random, it doesn't make sense yung generation. But this time, it's kind of like making sense. It's kind of like parang passing the Turing test already that you would think that you're talking to a human. But the thing is, it was trained on massive amount of data and we're talking a large amount of compute resources, no? And several months of training. So it took OpenAI a huge sum of money to develop that thing. And then later on, nag-evolve na siya into a lot of things. Nagkaroon ng reasoning model, no? And then nagkaroon na siya there is also this new technology in the field of computer vision, yung mga diffusion. So basically, nauso yung term na generative AI because you can now generate text, generate images, and then using multimodal inputs. No? So yan, yung sobrang bilis ng dami nangyayari sa AI ngayon. Start lang sa dati sa narrow AI lang ginagawa namin 5 years ago. Tapos nauso na tong mga fine tuning, tapos itong mga foundation models with and then we have what we call yung neural scaling law, no? Yung neural scaling law, ibig sabihin nun, when you put in more compute and when you put in more data, nagkakaroon ng emergent capabilities itong mga AI models mo. That there are some capabilities that it can now do that was not part of the training objectives. No, parang ganun yung nangyari na, oops, kaya niya na mag-answer ng question. And nagkakaroon na rin siya ng parang ability like zero-shot learning. Ibig sabihin, no, kahit hindi mo siya binigyan ng example, it was able to, it is able to answer questions not really in the training set or not part of the training set. Kumbaga meron na siyang emergent capabilities. So yon, there's a revolution in the language domain, in vision domain, in prediction, and in generation of this content. No, hanggang sa in late 2024 and early 2025, naging agentic na nga siya. Ibig sabihin, we can actually partner it with a lot of tools, connect these large language models with a lot of tools, improve on the harness, and then it can also it can do a lot of tasks for us. Nagiging agents na siya, nagiging AI agents na siya. So yun yung nangyayari ngayon sa capabilities ng AI. But at the expense of large computation and even changing architectural landscape doon sa ano sa what you call that sa neural network or sa transformers, no? Transformer architecture. A lot of this AI technology, ang linchpin nito ay yung transformer. Okay? And marami na ring mga the original transformer was invented, no? Was designed or the paper came out last 2017, yung attention is all you need na paper. So, since then, ang dami ng mga architectural designs na nangyari para mas efficient siya at mas maging capable siya. But in the classical sense, we can only do so much kasi there are still like these transformers, these AI models were trained in the algorithms in the classical sense. No, hindi pa to gumagamit ng quantum computation. Pero sige. Let me go to the next slide. Ayan, no? Ito yung sinasabi ko ngayon, may mga limits tayo. First, training cost. Yung GPT-4, I think GPT-4 2024 or 2025, costs are over $100 million in compute alone. And models are getting bigger. We are hitting diminishing returns. The energy consumption alone is becoming unsustainable. So GPT-4 sobrang laki ng nito ng carbon footprint, no? Training this frontier AI model can consume as much electricity as a small city uses in a month. Yung ChatGPT query nga, no, uses 10 times more energy than a Google search. Data centers for AI are projected to consume 3 to 4% of global electricity by 2030. That's more than 20 countries, no? And here's the efficiency crisis. We're seeing diminishing returns to get 2 times better performance, we're needing 10 times more compute. So meron talagang diminishing return doon sa Baka we have to think of other way or other paradigm in computing, no? I think we need to think outside the box kasi kung ganun pa rin yung trend na gagawin natin, we are going to hit a wall na hindi na talaga siya economically and physically feasible. So, massive talaga yung resources na it requires massive resources for a very meager incremental gain. Yung scaling approach ito might we're going to hit a wall economically and even environmentally, no? And then ito, drug discovery. This is also AI is also being used in drug discovery kasi uh, we have techniques like yung mga deep reinforcement learning na ginagamit sa doon sa protein folding and also many other AI techniques for drug discovery uh, because we're simulating how molecules interact at the quantum level, no? It's computationally intractable for classical computers. Another domain is yung climate modeling. I, for one, am a project leader of DOST project that wherein we use AI for weather forecasting and climate modeling, no? Gumagamit kami ng mga swing transformer architectures. We're also partnering with a US-based company in this regard. Sobrang makain po rin sa resources. We have a compute infrastructure in DOST, but it's not really enough. We really need, in order for us to run yung mga models namin for climate modeling and weather forecasting, we need hyperscalers like what they have in AWS or in Google Cloud, no? Coupled with siguro yung on-prem namin. Yung on-prem namin cannot really sustain yung ganun kalaking amount ng memory and storage when it comes to these applications. Of course, there are also other NP-hard problems, no, in optimization. Meron din isang researchers under doon sa aking team na gumagawa ng parang in a way parang traveling salesman problem wherein may mga suppliers, tapos may mga depot sila, and then may road network ka, and they're finding the best route, no, to actually deliver the resources, like for example, sa Lazada or sa Shopee, no, may mga depot sila, may mga distribution center sila. So doon, practically, ginagamit itong mga optimization, vehicle routing problem algorithms na ito. So nakita natin na these are the AI revolution, no? The recent frontier in artificial intelligence are being used in this domain. And tingnan natin ngayon naman yung quantum, no? Enter quantum computing. We fight exponential problems with exponential power. Parang ano yun eh. Para sa akin, actually this is just generated by by an AI itong slides that I am using. Truth be told, no. So parang magkukwentuhan lang talaga tayo. I'm just using these slides to actually convey my experience and my knowledge about these two field. Uh, ang mas gusto ko diyan finding exponential problems with logarithmic power. Parang ganun. Kasi kung exponential, di lalong ano. So in order for you to parang counteract the effect of exponential, dapat i-logarithmic mo siya. Anyway, sige, that's just me. So, if the problem is exponential complexity, we had a computer that could harness yung exponential power. So, that's the promise of quantum computing. Actually, in the last lecture that I had, I was given by Bobby Corpus, the president of QCSP, the topic yung algorithmic complexity, no? So doon kasi, yun naman kasi yung power ng ano, there are some problems, no? Or there are some problems sa pwede mong gawa ng algorithm that is somehow marireduce niya yung algorithmic complexity if you have done it with the classical ano computation. So pag ginamitan mo ng quantum algorithm, mas magiging efficient yung ano. But kailangan tinan muna natin ito paano or we really need to understand quantum computing. And I'm sure since a lot of you are very much interested with, I am very much part of QCSP, no? You're very much interested in joining this. I think some of you might have, may already have an understanding of quantum computing. So I will just be siguro to some of you, I will just be preaching to the choir, no? But just the same, I will uh, say to you, discuss to you quantum computing 101. Uh, Three concepts that change everything: superposition, interference, and entanglement. These are concepts in quantum mechanics, no? Lalo na sa mga physics sa inyo, I'm sure you have already studied this. Ako, I'm not a physicist, as although nabanggit kanina during the introduction, nagulat ako doon. Pero ito yung mga pinag-aaralan. I don't actually have a background in physics, but I'm interested in physics concepts, no? Yung siguro ano lang, high school physics at saka yung natural science in the undergrad, yun lang. Tapos on the side, nanonood lang ako ng YouTube and sorry, pero it's just me. Nagbabasa ako ng textbook about physics, no? Yung kila Zemansky and Sears na textbook and ano. So yun lang ano lang pampatulog kumbaga. So somehow na appreciate ko siya yung physics, although I'm not a physicist and ayun. So yun yung tatlong phenomena from quantum mechanics that pwede nating i-harness for this new paradigm of computing called quantum computing. The first one is superposition. So, sa classical bit, di ba, we're representing yung information either as 0 or 1. We call them bit, no? Or binary digit. And then we have qubit, quantum bit. So, ito naman, so in the classical bit, this is the foundation of the classical computing. It's like a light switch, on or off, kunyari, or pwede ring 0 volt or 5 volts, or magnetized or not magnetized. So, depende doon sa underlying physical hardware na gagamitin mo, no? Basta binary lang talaga siya. Yung qubit naman is different. It can be 0, it can be 1, but here's the magic. It can also be both at the same time. We call this superposition, no? Yung superposition mathematically is just a fancy, for me, it's just a fancy way of saying linear combination, no? So yung superposition, this is one of the uh, things that create the magic in quantum computing. So, think of a spinning coin. While it's spinning, pwede siyang, kumbaga, hindi mo alam kung heads or tails siya. It can be heads or it can be tail or it can be both. No? Nasa stage siya ng superposition. But when it lands or pagka tinakpan mo na ganon, okay? And you measure it, ibig sabihin, in-observe mo, doon mo palang malalaman yung ano. So qubits work the same way until you measure the qubit, it exists as both 0 and 1. Kumbaga naka-superposition siya. And then another thing about, we can actually make qubit, kumbaga may mga mathematical operations to actually increase the number of qubits. No? Pag 1 qubit kasi, two states lang yung two states, no? It can represent two states. Pag 2 qubits, 4 states, 3 qubit, 8 states, so 10 qubits, 1024 states, and so on, no? So imagine 300 qubits, sobrang laki na nun. Yung 2 raised to the 300, that's actually more than the number of atoms in the universe. Okay, so ano ibig sabihin nito when it comes to compute and data? Okay, to classically simulate a 50-qubit quantum computer, you'd need to track 2 raised to the 50 complex numbers. Yeah, that's the representation of a quantum state kasi, no? In terms of complex number, that's around 16 petabytes of RAM. Hindi kakayanin kapag dinamo sa classical yun. So, 16 petabytes of RAM. Your laptop has probably just 16 gigabytes, no? So, we're talking about million times, no, uh memory saving. So for 100 qubits you need more memory than 2 raised to the 100. So, kailangan mo na mas maraming memory kaysa sa dami ng sands, ng grain of sand sa earth, no? Kapag gumamit ka nun. So, ibig sabihin, in terms of data, there is this saving. In terms of compute, I mean, there's also saving. But in terms of data, no? Yung classical processes, yung mga data points and batches, no? Kapag ka na ano mo siya into superposition, mas malaki pa rin may titipid mo. So superposition, yung superposition, it can make efficiency, no? It can make your computation and your data uh, storage more efficient, no? But ito superposition alone is not enough, no? Just because you can represent all these states doesn't mean you can get useful answers out of it. Okay? So, meron pang kailangan na mangyari, no, para magkaroon ka talaga ng effective quantum computation. Okay? And then yun naman yung yung susunod na yung susunod pang dalawang phenomena yung interference and entanglement. Let me just start with sorry. Ayusin ko lang yung slides ko. Guys, sorry. Yan. Interference, now is the concept that often gets overlooked but is actually also one of the key concepts in quantum computing, interference. So, yung interference, ito yung napag-aralan sa physics, no, sa mga waves, no. When two waves meet, they add up, like you can see here waves in phase. Kapag ka nagpareho sila ng tama yung nila, nag-meet yung parehong phase nila, no, they will add up, ma-double yung amplitude mo, lalaki yung amplitude mo. If they're in sync, they add up. So, tawag doon constructive interference. If they're out of sync, they cancel out. Destructive interference naman yun. So qubits aren't just bits, they're quantum waves, and quantum algorithms are carefully designed to exploit this wave-like behavior. So ibig sabihin, yung algorithms natin, it can be designed in such a way na yung right answer, okay, you can actually tip the scale para yung right answer yung laging most probable na lumabas. So ibig sabihin, pwede mo gamitin din yung constructive interference. Pero yung mga wrong answers naman, the paths leading to wrong answers, no, pwede mong gamitin doon yung destructive interference para mag-cancel out siya. So imagine mo, if you are in the field of AI, imagine this, di ba? Kunyari dun sa concept ng, if you're familiar with deep reinforcement learning, you can actually use this concept, no, itong quantum computing sa AI when it comes to deep reinforcement learning, wherein you're training your policy or you're coming up with a policy gradient para at least ma-reinforce yung mga tamang sagot o tamang behavior, tapos ma-penalize yung mga wrong behavior. So by the time you measure the correct answer, you will have a high probability ng tamang sagot and a very low probability ng mga wrong answers. Masusuppress yung mga low probability. Okay? So that's where interference is used in quantum computing. Kasi quantum computing, basically you would have to run these computations over and over, no? Pero the thing is, if you're kahit na maraming beses mo siyang i-run, okay? Compare mo yon dun sa classical approach which which is less efficient pa rin kahit na several times ka nag-run ng quantum computation. Kasi doon sa pag multiple mong mag-run ng quantum computation, doon lalabas yung probability distribution mo na ito yung right answer, ito yung since you're taking advantage of interference, makikita mo doon na yung right answer will really pop out. And then, ito naman yung isa pa, yung entanglement. No? This is a very important concept in quantum computation. Kapag 1 qubit lang kasi, It's not enough. Kahit na let's say, sinabi ko kanina na sa superposition, it can actually, theoretically, it can represent infinite number of states, no? But you would need multiple qubits to actually take advantage of quantum computation. When two qubits become entangled, they become correlated in a way that no classical, walang classical equivalent ito. Ito yung advantage, is one of the advantages of quantum computation over classical computation. Measure one and you instantly know that something about the other. Halimbawa, kung yung entangled state, makikita mo yan, yung dalawa kahit na magkalayo over long distances, no? Pagka na-measure mo yung isa, alam mo na kagad kung ano yung state nung isa. Kunyari, kung 1 yung isa, automatic 1 yung isa. 1 din yung isa. Pag 0 yung isa, automatic 0 din yung isa. Ang tawag doon ay Bell state, no? And that's actually part of our lecture series also. Tawag dito ni Einstein ay ano, spooky action at a distance. And yung sabi ni Einstein. For computing, entanglement is what allows quantum computers to process information in ways that are fundamentally impossible uh, using classical computers. It creates correlations between qubits that can encode and process exponentially more information than you could without it. Without entanglement, a quantum computer would just be a fancy parallel classical computer. With entanglement, it becomes something categorically different, no? So to summarize itong three na phenomena na from quantum mechanics na ginagamit natin or we're taking advantage in quantum computer. Okay, the first one is superposition, being many state at once and exponential possibilities. Next one is interference, amplifying right answers, canceling wrong ones, and finding the needle in the haystack. Entanglement, correlations that enable exponential information processing. This is the quantum advantage talaga, yung entanglement. Together, these three phenomena enable quantum speedups. So this is just a high-level overview ng quantum computation. If you want to know more, no, you are all invited sa mga upcoming quantum computing lecture series natin where we tackle this in depth. Okay, where are we now? Okay, I'll be honest with you, no, ang dami nagtatanong sa akin, akala nila yung lalo na ano, practically useful na, may practically useful na quantum computer na. I'm sorry to break your bubble, pero at this point, no, wala pa talagang practical, yung quantum computer na nade-develop na practically useful, no? IBM, pero sabi ng mga companies na to, malapit na, no? Pero hindi natin alam kung kailan, no? Could be before 2040, no? Let's see. Pero dito makikita natin, mas maganda kasi, ang nagiging problem kasi kaya wala pang practical usefulness is yung tinatawag nilang problem about quantum decoherence, no? Wherein hindi pa nila na-perfect talaga yung technology. Kasi kapag gagawa ka ng quantum computation, kailangan may point na hindi talaga magko-collapse yung ano until the end, no? Yung mga quantum state mo. Yun kasi yung nagiging problem. In order for you to do that, kailangan lahat ng mga variables kontrolado mo at saka hindi mo na, like for example, yung temperature dapat sobrang baba. Tapos walang magnetic interference, walang noise, walang thermal noise, no, walang ano. So mahirap talagang ma-perfect yung ano. Yun yung pino-perfect pa ngayon ng mga scientists, ng mga physicists, no, na ano. And there are a lot of technologies din kasi na involved, no. Merong technology na ginagamit sa quantum computation to represent a qubit. Merong superconducting qubit, merong trapped ion, may neutral atoms, may photonics. Yun lang yung mga that comes to mind. Pero I'm sure marami pang iba. Merong NMR, no? Yun yung mga common or mga popular technologies sa physical or hardware technologies na ginagamit for quantum computation. At yung major problem in all of them is yung decoherence nga. No, pero kung may decoherence, meron pa ring isang field na actually sa classical meron ding inaaral na field na problem din naman yung noise sa classical computation. If you studied information theory or coding and information theory, yun yung pinag-aaralan doon na pag nag-send ka ng signal ng classical bit, kailangan mo magdagdag ng mga extra bit for correction. Mga error correcting codes or error detecting codes, no? Malalaman mo na merong error na send, no? May halimbawa yung isang ano sa classical error correcting or error detecting codes yung parity bit, no? Para kailangan even dati. Pag nag-ano, ibig sabihin may isang bit doon na nag-flip. So in the same way sa quantum computation, meron din tayong mga ganyan iba't ibang coding algorithms, no? Para ma-make sure na yung masasend na signal, no? O masasend na mga quantum bits o mga qubits kaya ay ano pa din may integrity pa rin, no? So, kaya kailangan natin ng maraming qubits. Nagdadagdag kasi, kumbaga may extra cost, no? Kahit na yung information mo, yung major data mo it will just cost 3 bits, kailangan mo magdagdag ng additional bit para doon sa computation na yon. So, ibig sabihin nito, mas maraming qubits, mas powerful. At saka mas, in a way, siguro mas accurate yung result, no? And that is why these companies are really raising to the point na paramihan sila ng qubit para at least ma-reach nila yung practical, no, application itong quantum computation. So makikita natin dito si IBM uh, ano to, by 2023, 1,121 qubits, Google 105 qubits. I'm not sure if this is uh, up to date, no? IonQ 36 qubits. So, itong mga companies na to, they're actually publishing yung mga research nila tapos kung ilang qubits na sila. No? At saka yung plan nila by this year kung ilang qubits na dapat yung nag-ooperate sila. Pero yun, ah the thing is, yung nandito pa rin tayo sa tinatawag na na NISQ era o yung noisy intermediate scale quantum. Ito yung sinasabi ko na major problem natin is yung decoherence, no? We need exotic cooling near absolute zero, no, para ma-run natin itong mga computations na to. And the question now is it's actually not if quantum computing will be powerful. It is when. Yun yung question. It's a matter of time kung kailan. Kasi theoretically, no, the math checks out yung algorithm ni Shors, nila Grover, no? Ang kulang na lang sa kanila yung practical implementation nito. But it's kind of scary din kasi kung yung Shors algorithm maran mo siya, no? Parang it can break yung mga RSA, yung mga modern cryptographic algorithms na nag-safeguard ng ating internet communications and a lot of things on the internet or even in banking and lahat ng mga nangangailangan ng guarding ng mga sensitive information, no? Kaya ma-break in just minutes. Okay? So yun yung yun yung isa kaya merong ibang meron isang parang technique na ginagawa sila yung decrypt now, harvest later or DNHL, no? DNHL, decrypt now, harvest later. Wherein parang inaano nila ngayon, kinokolekta nila lahat yung mga ano ngayon para pagka dumating na yung time na pwede nang i-run si Shor's algorithm at all or practically useful na si kayang-kaya na nilang ma-harvest yung mga information na nung sa mga bangko na yon. So it's very scary, no? And that is why we need the government, no? Really need to take action. We really need to be post-quantum secure. Ayun. So yan, convergence, how quantum computing, sorry masyado akong marami kinukwento sa inyo. But hopefully, no, I'm, uh, you're learning from what I'm sharing right now, no? And let's see naman yung convergence itong dalawang technologies that Actually, they're really separate technology, but in a way parang during this time kasi sila yung parang ano ngayon yung in ngayon, no? Ito, AI is all the rage right now, and then quantum has this great potential to really rock the rock the boat, no, in terms of parang uh, in terms of its power and immense and in capability. So, pwede kasi mangyari niyan na, wait lang, I might have, I'm not sure if I missed, okay, sige. Ito naman yung quantum to AI, no? How quantum enhances AI. First, yung quantum, kung paano niya ma-enhance yung AI. Training neural networks when is fundamentally an optimization problem kasi, no? So may mga quantum algorithms na diyan like yung QAOA could potentially navigate this optimization landscape more efficiently, finding better solutions and faster. No, kasi at sabi ko nga sa inyo, lahat ng mga AI na ginagamit modern AI na ginagamit ngayon is powered by a neural network. And mostly neural networks kasi when you train no models on a neural network, basically it's just optimization. And then many AI techniques, better sampling, no? Quantum Boltzmann machines for generative models and probabilistic inference. So rely on sampling from probability distributions. Quantum computers can potentially sample far from complex distributions that are classically hard. No, yung sa sampling kasi, usually sampling ginagamit siya sa mga diffusion models eh. No, pag nag-generate tayo ng mga images, gumagamit tayo ng diffusion models because we're trying to estimate the probability distributions of our data set kung mga pictures man yun. Tapos we do sampling. So we can use no quantum algorithms for AI techniques for better sampling. And then the next one is yung quantum kernels, QML algorithms that compute similarities in exponential large feature spaces. Quantum computers can compute kernels in exponential large feature spaces or spaces too big to represent classically. This could enable finding patterns invisible to classical ML. No, ito naman dito naman papasok yung QML. And then ayun nga yung related dun sa nauna, quantum neural network. Ah These are hybrid models. Classical computers handle most of the work, but the key computation run on quantum circuits. They might learn patterns that classical networks fundamentally cannot capture. So yung sa neural network kasi, 'di ba? May input ka, tapos may output ka, tapos you have to run yung forward propagation then back propagation training mo. Dun sa quantum neural networks, kailangan mo munang encode yung data mo into something that ah, na pwede mo siyang mai-run sa quantum algorithms. Tapos, pagdating doon sa dulo, pag na-run mo na yung quantum algorithms, ibabalik mo na ulit siya doon sa classical. Okay. So, yan yung quantum neural networks. Most of these are still theoretical or experimental. We don't yet have the quantum computers powerful enough to demonstrate clear advantage on real AI problems. But potentially, no, malaking advantage ito once we have the practical implementation of quantum computers. Baliktad naman, how AI enhances quantum. No, sa error correction, ML models predict and correct quantum errors in real time, improving coherence. No, ito yung sinasabi sa mga error correction algorithms. Also, in circuit optimization, quantum circuits need to be compiled, translated from abstract operations to physical gates. AI can find more efficient compilation, shorter circuits with fewer gates, which means less accumulated. Di ba sa quantum computation, we need to design circuits. Alam niyo na may circuits, di ba? You have gates and then, so you can use AI or machine learning to better optimize your circuit design. And then calibration. Quantum hardware requires constant tuning. Thousands of parameters and that need adjustment. Reinforcement learning agents are being used to automate this calibration process, keeping machines operating optimally. So alam naman natin that AI is very powerful and it can be used in many domains including in quantum computing research. AI can also help in algorithm discovery. Most exciting for the long term. This is a good field actually, no? Once you already understand the basic of quantum computing, the next thing that you need to do is magandang field of research to kasi dito talaga kapag alam mo na how quantum computer works, you would be able to somehow parang magkakaroon ka ng new mindset when you do the algorithms. As parang kumbaga kakalimutan mo na yung algorithm na kung paano mag-work sa isang classical computer. This time knowing how quantum computing works, be able to somehow craft, no, or design algorithms for quantum computation. And you can use AI for that. So these are some of the things things where AI can help quantum computation. Real world real world application, of course, drug discovery and healthcare. Ginagawa ng AI ngayon yan, pero pagka sa quantum, I think mas nagiging efficient. Because there's a vast space of parang chemical databases, no, na pwedeng i-try, and alam naman natin ng quantum computation can handle yung different or multiple quantum state at the same time, so mas magiging efficient yung pag-search. And then optimization problems, yung logistics, finance, manufacturing, energy, quantum chemistry, of course, cryptography and security. Ito yung na-discuss ko na sa inyo kanina, no? The threat. Shor's algorithm can break RSA encryption. Harvest now, decrypt later attacks already happening. No? Timeline 10 to 5 years to cryptographically relevant quantum computers. And so, yung mga 10 to 15 years siguro, no? But at the same time, kailangan na natin ngayon kumilos, no? The Defense Post-Quantum Cryptography Standards now published by NIST, yung National Institute for Standards and Testing sa US, no? Ito yung parang pinaka Bureau of Philippine Standards nila doon. Meron na silang post-quantum cryptography. QKD for ultra secure channels, and migration already underway in governments and financial institutions. So kailangan talaga really need, even the government should really be ready, prepared for yung post-quantum security. Okay, NISC era now 2027, 2027 to 2030 early fault tolerant. Yung mga companies na pinakita ko kanina, they are doing a lot of research in quantum in making sure na maging practical na yung quantum computation. But also enough to start showing real advantages in optimization, some simulation, drug discovery applications becoming practical doon sa area na yon. So tingnan natin, no? We have to be abreast with the news. Tingnan natin yung mangyayari in this time window. 2030 and beyond, no? Usually yun din nakikita ko doon sa mga nagpe-present mga company like yung Continue, meron silang mga roadmap, in quantum roadmap. Even in DOST, we have a quantum roadmap. That time, 2030 and beyond, full scale na, this is when the quantum computing becomes more transformative. Millions of qubits, breaking RSA, training AI models is fundamentally new ways, no? Magkakaroon siguro ng kaya very exciting, kaya nga ako, parang I'm on the fence, no? Parang tinitingnan ko yung area na to, nakatingin ako sa AI landscape. At the same time, I'm keeping tabs of what also happening in quantum space, no? Para at least kapag maging mukhang mag-aano na sa quantum. Kumbaga, nakasilip ako sa quantum. Although, what I'm doing right now is mostly on AI, pero kailangan pa rin natin talaga na sumilip sa quantum computation para makita natin, no? So if we understand how these AI models, so frontier AI models work, no? Tapos nakikita natin nagkakaroon na ng it's about to hit a wall. Siguro that's the time na talagang i-beef up na nila yung research sa quantum computation para matulungan yung AI. So, This is why building AI infrastructure now, which is a similar skill, similar cloud architecture, positions us for quantum future. Okay? Maraming mga similarity itong quantum, no? Siguro just to, as an aside, no? In the UST kasi, I'm the program leader of the Akabay, Advancing Computing Analytics Big Data in the and Artificial Intelligence in the Philippines. And under this program, we have the Project Naira. Sa Project Naira, we're building an AI virtual hub for solutions workflow, strengthening the AI ecosystem, so academia, industry, government. Meron kami capacity building and collaborative research on AI development. So we want to help organizations, MSMEs, LGUs to adopt AI, and we would like to empower them. Empower them how? By training them or by sharing infrastructure resources with them or asking them their pain points. Perhaps we already have an AI solution for that. Now, promote ethical and transparent AI practices, and so that we will be able to thrive in the sustainable AI ecosystem. So, meron kaming infra sa ASTI, o Advanced Science and Technology Institute. Today, we're running around 1,027 teraflops, no? Hindi, actually, before, no? Not today. 127. By this time, since naka-procure na kami ng 2H200s, we are now at 2.5 petaflops yung aming current compute capacity, but still not enough, no? For, but with this infrastructure growth, no? We can make AI and quantum computing. Like, pwede natin gamitin kasi ito for quantum computing simulations, no? Which we're already doing in ASTI, no? Merong isang team kami sa ASTI na gumagawa nun. Yung team nila Sir Jeffrey Aborot, no? Yung Quantum Computing Innovations Lab. Okay. And aside from that, we just launched our National AI Center for Research and Innovation. So, ibig sabihin nito, bibigyan pa kami ng pondo para ma-beef up yung aming computing infrastructure. And this will be shared, no? This will be shared with different organizations, the government, the academy, no? Itong aming infrastructure, compute infrastructure. Okay, why AI infrastructure? So yung cloud infrastructure that we're deploying for AI, no, yung mga servers, networking, and orchestration will be the same architecture through which we can access quantum computers, no. Aside from yung on-prem, yung mga hardware, no, yung mga bare metal, no, we also have subscription dun sa mga hyperscalers like yung AWS, no, yung mga cloud services. And aside from the infra, siguro another thing na kailangan nating is yung talent pool. And natutuwa ako because we have Quantum Computing Society of the Philippines who is an advocate for quantum computing education here in the Philippines. Data pipelines, we have to make sure that both the classical approach and even the quantum approach should be explored as well. Tapos API-based services, no? Hindi lang dapat doon sa mga pati sa quantum, no? We can use this API strategy. Okay, now siguro ito yung mga suggestion lang siguro, your path forward, no, for career growth, no, how to get started. Ito yung mga career opportunities. And just lang, please stay tuned dun sa mga upcoming activities ng QCSP team because we are cooking up something for everyone, no, in terms of quantum education. And we're partnering with there's gonna be a partnership with a potential partnership with TESDA na magkakaroon ng national competency, no, on quantum computing and artificial intelligence. I'm just sharing here yung mga possible career opportunities: quantum software engineer, quantum ML researcher, quantum algorithm designer, quantum application specialist, no. This will ito yung mga magiging new job, sexiest job siguro in the future, no? Kasi ngayon puro about AI, about data science, ito yung mga susunod na career opportunities. So we really need to make sure na maging abreast tayo sa quantum computing technologies. So, quantum software engineer writing code that runs on quantum computers like IBM Qiskit, Google Cirq, Xanadu Pennyline. Quantum ML researchers, this is at the intersection of AI and quantum computing, designing and testing quantum machine learning algorithms. This is where a lot of the academic research is happening. And then quantum algorithm designer, ito medyo napahapyawan ko na kanina, no? The theorist figuring out what quantum computers can do faster than classical ones requires deep mathematical background. And then quantum application specialist. Ayan, lagi naman may application specialist. Ito yung medyo mas practical, no? This might be the most accessible path. You don't need a quantum physics PhD. You need domain expertise, pharma, finance, banking, logistics, plus enough quantum understanding to identify where quantum can help, no? So these are some of the career opportunities in this field. Okay? Siguro last na lang to, second to the last slide, skills to build, of course, yung math. No? Kaya ako napapasok sa quantum computing. Linear algebra is still very much relevant. Vectors, matrices, eigenvalues, probability and statistics. Of course, Python programming is still relevant. Machine learning basics, neural networks, optimization. Yung basic nyo, yung calculus. Sa quantum, not much for AI, no? But for quantum, complex numbers is very important for quantum computing. Quantum specifics to build on, quantum mechanic basics. Basics lang. You don't need to parang go deep pa dun sa quantum ano, pero yung basic lang. Superposition, yung tatlong sinabi ko kanina. Superposition, entanglement, and interference. Quantum circuits, ito maganda to. If you are into designing quantum circuits. Quantum SDKs, yan, yung Qiskit, IBM Qiskit, okay yung IBM na website, marami silang resources dun about quantum computers, quantum computing, no. QML, ayan, variational circuits and quantum kernels. Okay, sige. Ito yung mga how to get started. So if you're starting out, and ito yung sinasabi ko, take the IBM free Qiskit course, attend our lecture series, join QCSP, connect with the Philippine Quantum Computing Community, and we have a lot of volunteers if you want to parang join us, no, para maging volunteer then at least you're going to learn a lot. And then marami din ginagawa ang DOST no, with regards to AI and quantum computation. Okay? Just email me if you want to know more about the programs in this regard. Hindi ko na isa-summarize because of lack of time and this is my email. Okay, maraming salamat po for staying and for your attention. I'm ready probably for kung may mga question, a couple of questions will do, but I have to catch another meeting, sorry. Pero I can still stay for a couple of minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Elmer. So, yeah, until what time po kayo, sir? So that if ever may questions, we can accommodate.
Hanggang 4:15 lang. I have another
Sige.
meeting kasi
Ayan.
with.
If you guys have any questions kay Sir Elmer, you can drop your questions sa chat box or you can raise your hand. Ayan, may question po from Jabez. Pwede daw po ba magpalibre ng coffee?
Magpalibre ng kape. Pwede naman.
Yan.
Ano din, ano ba, superposition ng ano? Pwede,
Ah,
hindi pwede. Naka-superposition po kung pwede o hindi pwede. Depende yan
ayan.
kasi, Jabez, ganito yan, ano? You have to use constructive inference para lumipat siya sa pwede. Pero ngayon kasi naka-superposition pa siya. Okay? So, pwede maging mabait ka sa akin para maging constructive inference or pwede ka ring hindi mo ako pansinin para at least dun sa destructive inference mapunta. So, ibig sabihin, mapupunta siya sa hindi pwede. So, yun. So, yun yung sagot ko, Jabez.
Ayan. Lagot ka, Jabez. Ayan. May question po from Avin. May I ask if you have a specific topic or research that you want to explore po sa field ng quantum computing?
Okay, sige, thank you po. At this point wala, but my current PhD, sorry po, hindi pa ako doctor, I'm still taking my PhD, no? But my research area kasi is more on large language models, no? And then yung large language model and I think that is kung meron man akong gagamitin ng quantum computing baka in that area po. Another thing is like doon sa ano po, baka sa materials discovery because I also have a short stint in the US to apply AI for material science and engineering. Tapos doon pa lang kasi nung time na yun, yung pala nag-broke out yung ChatGPT. And yung mga initial na ano na research area na gusto kong explore for my dissertation. Like to use to apply AI for material science discovery and materials property prediction yung mga ganon no para ano ba yung magandang materials ano yung magandang chemical compounds or yan yun those are some of the things po. Another thing is yung data representation, efficient data representation ng mga chemical compounds so that you can use parang the transformer architecture or neural networks architecture, or probably you can encode them into quantum computation and use QML for that para at least mas madali yung ano. Medyo related po sa ano sa large language model at saka material science and engineering yung aking area of field na pwede kong gamitan ng quantum computing. Yun po. How can
Next
we
question
access
po, eh,
ay sige po.
opo. How can we access hardware niyo po sa ASTI? Available na ba sa public?
Yeah, meron kaming core. Dati kasi it's available for researchers. Pero parang nagbago po sila ng ano terms of use. I have yet to check. Pero kung institutional po, like for example, kung mag-apply po kayo so kunyari you're part of a school or you're a researcher, ganyan, pwede pong mag-email sa ASTI po. Pwede. Yung pong kaninang email ko, pwede niyong email yan, i-forward ko na lang po doon sa concern na ano para balikan po nila kayo kung paano magkaroon ng engagement yung school ninyo or institutions ninyo. Before po kasi pwede yung individual na ano na access. Pero ngayon parang they have parang reviewed their terms of use kasi nga po nag-i-increase kami ng ano ng capacity. Pero pwede niyo po akong i-email tapos pwede ko po i-forward sa kanila yung request ninyo.
Thank you, sir. Question from Beach Hills. I hope I pronounced that properly. What are the most common opportunities for AMO, I think atomic molecular optics physicist, if I'm correct, in quantum computing? I'm under semiconductor optics and I'm thinking of shifting to QC.
Sorry po, sorry to ano um uh, I cannot say wala po akong opinion. I am not familiar po with AMO. Sorry po, hindi ko po kayo sasagot doon sa area na 'yon.
Okay. Maybe from the speakers yesterday. Yeah. Yeah. Just wait for the recordings to be published and then you might meet the speakers from yesterday, Bichil. Yeah. From Angelo, Sir Elmer, I am interested in participating in the NAIRA program. I currently have a background in CS, IT as an undergraduate student. How could I join?
Okay. Participating. I currently have a background in computer science information as an undergrad student. If you are an undergrad student right now, you can apply as an OJT or as an intern so that you can work with some collaborative R&D using AI for specific application domain na gusto mo tapos ihahanapan ka ng ano ng stakeholder for that. So meron ganon or if you want naman, if you want your organization to be capacitated, we can do capacity building naman in your organization. Hindi ko kasi alam kung ano yung current na, no, if you're still a student or you're already a professional working for a government agency. But for both, we can partner with Naira project. Pwedeng yung capacity building, pwedeng as an OJT intern, or pwedeng collaborative research din po.
Ayun. Thank you very much, Sir Elmer. So I think it's already 4:15. Sir, we just want to present the certificate of appreciation. So next slide. Ayan. So we present this certificate acknowledges Sir Elmer Peramo has masterfully shared insights as a speaker in World Quantum Week Spotlight Talk, a webinar in celebration of World Quantum Day, signed by Engineer Ethel Joy Badiang and Sir Bobby Corpus Jr. So, before you leave, sir, maybe we can have a picture together. Ayan, if you guys can turn on your camera, let's have a picture with Sir Elmer. Thank you.
Thank you din.
Yeah. Can someone take a picture even? Yeah. Okay. Heart react hi guys for those who cannot turn on your camera so that we can feel your presence. Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Ikaw na lang, Kyle. Sorry.
Sige. Okay.
Thank you.
1, 2, 3. Ay. Yan. Okay po. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sir
Thanks so
Elmer.
much. I really have to go. Bye-bye.
Apo. Thank you, Sir Elmer. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Everyone.